Western Union, MoneyGram, they are normal, legitimate businesses, but they afford somebody the opportunity to send money instantly across any amount of space. That goes from all the way from the United States, and you can pick up the money in China if you wanted to, and within 10 minutes, okay? The only problem with those two sources are the minute the funds are out, 9 times out of 10, you cannot recover those funds back, okay? So that's the reason why I'm saying if you ever hear them start talking about MoneyGram or Western Union to make payment for something that you think this unexpected issue, there's usually a problem right there. The scammer will want you to believe that he works for a reputable company. He will indicate there's a problem which requires immediate assistance. They'll give you a phone number to recontact him at. A lot of times you'll get a message on your voicemail. The situation will be urgent, and they'll tell you you've received several warnings already, which you know that you haven't. Best solution practice is like I said, no reputable company calls and demands immediate payment with no prior issues. If you're paying your bills on time and suddenly they call up and say you're 3 or 4 months behind and you know you're not, that's usually a problem, okay? Hang up and call the customer service number from your bill, not the one that they give you. They want you to call you back at their phone number so they can continue getting you to think that this is the legitimate company. And let me assure you, we had a situation where we called one back the other day. We got put on hold music, the whole 9 yards. It sounded so legitimate. It was to seasoned detectives. It even sounded good. And these people will talk to you to the point where you will believe them at one point, all right? The key to this is provide no information, not your name, not your personal identifying information, not your address or your phone number. Provide them nothing. Politely tell them you're going to call the appropriate business phone number, hang up, and they'll try and keep you on the hook. They'll try and keep you on the phone any way you can. Oh, well, you know what, you're not going to be able to reach me at that number, you know. So they will always try something to keep you on the phone. One of the main ones, has anybody gotten a phone call from the utility company that your bill's behind yet? Okay. This is the one we're having right now a lot of issues with. The utility company, a representative from collections calls about an unpaid balance. They give you a callback number, and then the person will say you have an uncommon past due amount, and that people are en route to your house to shut off the power. Immediate payment is necessary to stop this, okay? Again, see, those are those factors: unexpected problem, large dollar amount, and an alternate form. What you're usually instructed to pay via, now here's the red flags, Western Union and MoneyGram, to end up making full payment, all right? Again, a reputable business, an unlikely dollar amount, caller initiates immediately, or the technicians are en route to shut off the power unless you make payment at an alternate location, okay? So once you start seeing these, it's kind of all the same, and we're going to go over the IRS scam now. Has anybody got the scam call from IRS? Okay, all right. I got a panic call from my girlfriend telling me, oh, I got a warrant for my arrest. Just hang up the phone.
But in his case, your girlfriend had the warrant for you.
If you don't know what this is, basically, you'll get a phone call out of the blue. IRS will call saying that you, often with a heavy accent, the agent will sound official. They'll sound very official, saying that they're a special agent, their badge number is this, your case number is that, and they'll spew out a bunch of numbers at you to make it sound legitimate, okay? The agent indicates there's a warrant for your arrest for unpaid taxes over thousands of dollars, okay? Agents are en route to your house immediately to effect arrest, and immediate payment is required to stop this, okay? First off, the IRS does not send out agents to effect arrest for any minor dollar amounts, okay? Now, unless you're Martha Stewart and you're behind that far on anything, then there's another issue. But they're not going to come out. They're not going to come down and arrest anybody for $2,000 or $4,000. Secondly, we don't call you to notify you're coming, that we're on the way, okay? Law enforcement doesn't notify people like that, okay? There's to be no point, because then if we're looking for somebody, they run off. So we don't call ahead of time to let you know, okay? What you should do is notify your local law enforcement, the IRS directly, and file a police report, okay? No matter how official these guys sound, they'll be quoting US Penal Code, badge numbers, and everything else. Just don't fall for it, okay? And then once again, they'll ask you to confirm your personal identifying information. Confirm means a lot of times in the databases that they get stuff off the internet, because there's so much stuff out there, we can end up, a lot of times they have some of the information. They'll be able to tell you what address you're at or the color of your house, because they'll just look on the internet, look at an overview of the homes or whatever on the street, and they can even give you a basic description where you live. Doesn't mean they really are there or they're really coming, so.
Do they do it by email? Because I've gotten some email.
We get the email ones occasionally, especially you've won I've won the Nigerian lottery, the Canadian lottery. Funny, I never entered it, but you know. The other thing that we're having a lot with a lot of the seniors is the arrested family member scam, where you get a call from somebody saying that they're an attorney or law enforcement agent and your family member has been arrested, okay? The caller also made a claim to be grandson or grandchild of the victim, and there's going to be a bad connection. They're going to try and get you to say your grandchild's name, obviously. So if you pick up the phone and all of a sudden it's a scratchy connection, oh, grandma, I'm in jail. You know, they'll say, Billy, is that you? You know, yeah, it's me, Billy, you know. And like I said, you don't give them any information whatsoever, okay? They're going to direct you to pay a large sum of money for the attorney's fees or to get out of jail. Once again, what are the two main things there? Western Union and MoneyGram, okay? Once you hear those things, hang up. All right? To resolve this, first off, like I said, no law enforcement agency accepts anything but cash or registered bondsman service on any kind of arrest, okay? Ask the caller what police department they're specifically arrested at. Immediately attempt to try and call your grandchild or son or daughter and notify them of the call that you'd received and just confirm their whereabouts. Obviously, if they're not supposed to be traveling in Canada at this point, you know, it would be a big red flag, and especially if they pick up the phone, no, I'm safe, there's not a problem. And when in doubt, contact the police department and confirm. Use the police department's phone number, not the number provided by the caller, okay? Between the internet and everything else, you're able to look these things up without an issue, okay? The other telephone scam we get is the computer issue. Has anybody had this? They're having a bug? They're starting to move away from this one because once everyone catches on, it is. The computer issue, they're going to call saying they're with a reputable company like Microsoft or Apple or whatever, and that your computer has a virus that's sending out a signal. Well, the caller wants to help you remove this virus with a repair fee and will direct you to make payment via, okay? You start to see a pattern here? MoneyGram, Western Union, or Green Dot credit cards. They'll tell you to go buy credit cards to make a payment on something. So, some of the resolutions to this, first off, contact a family member and advise them of the call you just got, you know. Are you having any issues with the computer? If you are and you believe there's a problem, call a family member. Everyone's got one of their tech gurus in their family. It's usually the 8-year-old, okay? But if you're concerned about it, contact a legitimate repair company if that's the case. But again, no company like Microsoft, Apple will call you in this manner at all about a computer-related service issue, okay? Go on. Okay, and I'm sorry, this jumped forward. Basically, the other one that we've had is the abducted child or the abducted family member scam. Have you guys, any of you guys heard of this one? Okay. They'll call up and they'll say, you know, I just got in an accident with your son, daughter, waiting for you to give their name, you know. I just got in an accident with your son and I've got a warrant for my arrest, so, you know, he owes me $2,000 for the damage. I've got him locked up in my basement. If you don't give me the money, I'm going to kill him, all right? If you hang up the phone, I'm going to kill him, you know. All you got to do basically is, these are one of those situations where, again, contact your family member immediately, and if obviously you can't reach them or anything else, call the police department as well, okay? That's what we're here for, but for the most part, if you hear this coming, you know, they're gonna direct you again to usually go to Western Union or MoneyGram or credit or prepaid credit card to end up making payment to save the life of your child or whatever. John? All right, some of the in-person scams, these are the ones face-to-face that I'm talking about. Scams are perpetrated against victims with the individual present. And again, it's kind of the same thing as the telephone scams. There's a sudden unannounced visit from a reputable company or government official, water company, gas company, checking on a suddenly present problem that you're not aware of. They're sure you're going to immediately resolve this issue. Has anybody ever come across that with the people going door to door with saying they're with a power company or anything else? Or okay. Go on.
See, we do a good job for us, but they did all the other times, like down here.
We always say you just use caution dealing with strangers at the door. Standard precaution, don't open the door to strangers, obviously. When in doubt, don't open your door. But you can talk through the door as well as the glass, okay? Sometimes you gotta be as pushy as that, they'll be like, oh no, we need to speak with you. Advise when you have company over, and even if you're alone, just tell them, listen, I have friends over right now, now's not a good time. Please, and then just, like I said, call the police, but don't ever say you're alone or you're waiting for somebody to get home, okay? Because that's just a red flag that you are by yourself, okay, for obvious safety reasons, okay? The other thing we get hit with a lot is the home repairs. Again, out of the blue, immediate necessity repairs are present, usually a driveway or a chimney sweep, and you'll be quoted an extremely low amount of money. Victims will later, after these guys will come in, we get this a lot with the driveway paving scams where you crashed your driveway, we'll fill them for you. It's not a big deal. I've got extra material. I was just working down at your neighbor's house. We did a great job down there, and I'll give it to you for $500. Next thing you know is they'll take spray paint and some putty and fill in your cracks with spray paint, and it'll look atrocious. Then they'll tell you you've got a bill of $4,000 and pay me right now or I'm going to have you arrested. So people obviously get scared and they think they are in trouble because they have to pay this bill, whatever the case may be, and they'll pay it just to get rid of these people. I had a case recently with a tree trimming, and a lot of times the other scam they want to do is they'll try and get you out of the house so they can make access into somebody else from their crew can make access into the house while you're outside. I had a woman that said she got a knock at the door. A guy comes to her dressed in workers' clothing and everything else, says, hey, listen, I'm cutting trees over on your neighbor's property, and there's a tree that I think might fall in your house. Can you come over here and show me where's the property line is? And they'll get them to come outside, and while they're outside looking at trees and everything else, their friend comes right in through the front door, goes straight up to the bedroom, right into the dresser drawers, grabs the jewelry, anything they can, and they're out. Oh, okay, no problem. I'll cut that tree down tomorrow, and he'll let you go back in the house. Once you're back in the house, you may not notice for a day or two that all of a sudden your jewelry's missing, you know. We've had that a lot in Fairfield County also. So, and again, they'll present themselves, they'll show up in work vests, they'll show up with clipboards, they'll try and look the part if they can. But obviously, like I said, it's just use your common sense. Obviously, if there's an issue, when in doubt, if you did not call for any service and you think that something's going wrong, just lock your door and call 911. We will come directly out to your house as quickly as we can to try and still get these people while they're in the area, you know. This is, like I said, this is a scam that's ongoing, so just to use common sense and go forward. All right, so how do we protect ourselves from scams? There's a couple ways. First thing I suggest everybody do is register on this don'tcall.gov, okay? This is going to stop the telemarketers from calling you at least, and your information is not sent out to companies that purchase all these telephone numbers to find out customers' names, okay? This is one of the first steps in doing this. It's on the FTC website.
But it takes a call anyways, sorry.
Right, no.
What's your recourse?
Well, if they continue to call, if you go on the do not call list, it's legitimate telemarketers that continue calling you, what you have to do is just keep like a little log next to your phone. I keep a little notebook right there and write down, excuse me, who is this called, whatever the case, whatever company it is. And I believe after 3 times, once you file a complaint with the FTC, the Federal Trade Commission, that they're continually calling you or whatever, even though you're on the do not call list, there is a civil resolution to that. But what I'm saying is if you don't go on the do not call list, your information, your telephone number may be sold in batches to these companies. And the problem is within these companies now, they have a phone number and name that they can associate with you. So that's the reason why. Just don't give them a chance to get your number through legitimate reasons, okay? Some of the things, credit report is the other way to really protect yourself, okay? You get I don't know if everyone's aware of it, you get a free credit report from the government. I believe it's once a year for all 3, Equifax, TransUnion, and Experian. So again, just go on the government website. It's www.consumer.ftc.gov, okay? I always advise people to check your credit, because if you keep on top of it and all of a sudden you see a loan that went out that isn't yours, you can address it then. What becomes a problem is when we have an identity theft case, it may be months or a year later that you find out that all these credit cards are out in your name, maxed out to the nth degree. And it's a lot harder for you to try and resolve the problem with these credit card companies further down the road than it is if you catch it early enough, okay? The other great tool that I'm going to tell you to protect yourselves is paper shredders. Does anybody have a paper shredder in here? very good. Okay, if you don't, they're not that expensive. Go to Staples, they're like $30 or something like that. You can get a cheap one. This is the most invaluable thing, especially when you're dealing with your credit card statements, bank statements, IRS things that you had, old IRS papers. You just don't want to throw them in the trash because there are guys like this out here. We call them dumpster divers, all right? They will go through your trash, and believe me, you ever want to know something about somebody, go through their trash. In narcotics cases, we do this a lot to try and find out who our suspects are that are dealing with the case may be. These guys will use it for the purpose of identity theft, okay? If you throw out your credit card statement with your account number, your name, your mailing address, all your information, you could end up being a target for identity theft, but it's a lot harder to read your stuff off of this shredded paper than it is off of this stuff you just throw in the trash. So a paper shredder is a great thing. Credit monitoring services are available. There's several different pay services. They're usually not free, but check with your credit card because some of your credit cards offer this free as a free service. So if you want, contact your credit card company and ask them if they have free credit monitoring. That way, anytime a credit is applied for in your name, you get an email indicating that, GMC just requested a credit check on you. And at least it keeps you informed, okay? The other thing I tell people to do is make a list of the phone numbers for the people you pay bills to, your credit card companies, your utility companies, etc. If you have your account number, it's a good idea to keep them, especially if you lose your wallet. I don't know if everyone's ever lost their wallet with their credit cards in it. Trying to track down your own credit card number is brutal, okay? The other thing I tell people is sometimes make a photocopy of everything you've got in your wallet. Okay, that way if you do lose it, you have at home somewhere a copy of everything you got, and just put it in a secure location. Don't leave it out for on the main kitchen table or anything else. Hide it somewhere where you know, but keep it handy because when in doubt, you can always hang up the phone and call back your credit card or utility number at the phone numbers that are off the bill, not the ones that the suspects give you, because they want you to just call back on their phone. So when in doubt, contact your legitimate company directly at the customer service number on the bill. And have an open dialogue with your friends and family about your concerns or anything that comes up. You may find out that oh man, that's funny, my credit card company called me on the same thing the other day, and if you don't realize you're a victim, maybe that'll be maybe not you, but even the other person, maybe that's the trigger that's going to alert them that, man, something's wrong here. So. And if you believe you're a victim of a scam, report the incident. And like I said before, anyone can become a victim of a scam, anybody. And basically that is the presentation. Anybody question? Sure.
With a lot of the online purchasing, I noticed if you paid with a credit card, they ask all the information,
right,
code on the back. They can get access to that, correct?
The company can, but I'm going to give you another little trick that I have.
Okay.
Take your credit card out, but tell them, they're going to give you, oh, we're going to give you a $15,000 limit because your credit's so good. I don't want a $15,000, I need a $1,000 limit. And what that does is then I use that card and that card only for all my online purchases, okay? Now, if that credit card gets compromised, how far running room do they have? They can only spend up to $1,000 at that point, they're cut off. The other thing is it kind of protects you because your other credit cards that obviously have a higher will end up, you're not compromising that to that point. So.
It's the same credit card then.
Yeah.
You are going to purchase something online.
Right. Just use the same one all the time for that small card for your small purchases, unless you're obviously buying something big online. Then.
No, I'm not.
God bless you. So. Well, it depends. I mean, like I said, we've been dealing with this for a little while now, and a lot of people that aren't aware of it, obviously will call us to try and verify that fact they've got a warrant for their arrest and everything else. We'll just tell them, no, you don't worry about it. My point is, when reporting it, is if you're concerned or if something happened where you did end up making a payment to them or something like that, then definitely report it to us, because obviously we want to try and start the process to try and protect you and your identity at that point. So. 911's for emergencies. Just call on the non-emergency number, and you can, police department, right on the non-emergency number, and we can always route you to the right source if we need to, okay? Yes?
What about that census question you mentioned
We've had, you know, they do this every once in a while, the census takers or whatever the case may be. My advice to you is always the same thing. If you have any doubts or concerns, call us. Call the police and say, this guy just came to my door and he says he's a census taker or whatever the case may be. They usually will tell us what neighborhoods they're working if they are out there. And we'll be able to confirm with them, you know, obviously, if you live on ABC Street and, you know, you call and yes, we've got a solicitor that's working on ABC Street or, you know, a census taker. I mean, if we have a census taker working on ABC Street in that area, then at least it alludes to, but again, anybody that comes to the door and asking any personal questions about you, I always tell them, no thank you. That's it. Simple enough. Anyway? Sure.
One other thing to really consider is if you get paperless billing, then you don't have to worry about statements getting shredded.
Absolutely, yeah. Yep.
That's another option. You don't have to worry about people stealing out of your mailbox.
Correct.
Well, actually, that shredding, the town of Westport has a shredding day in May.
Yes, correct.
You can bring bulk stuff to the.
Yes. Again, and thank you for bringing that up because it's completely slipped my mind. But yes, if you bring, there's a shredding day. It's usually up at Bayberry Lane, I think. And at Bayberry Lane at the Westport Western Health Center, they have a bulk shredding day. So if you don't, you know, if you don't have a shredder and you don't want to purchase one, you can always drop it off. But again, like I said, it's just make sure nothing goes out in your trash in the interim.
The other
Our parish administrator is planning a shredding day here.
Okay, there you go. See?
The other thing that I hadn't thought about is a receipt from the store, and that little thing at the bottom, if you pay with the credit card, it's like not the credit card number, but it's some kind
A
of
barcode, you mean? Or?
barcode.
Yeah.
And, you know, my husband said, you know, make sure that you destroy those, because that gives
The barcode obviously will have all the information that's inside that receipt. But again, this falls back on that same issue I was talking about, is if you have something that identifies you or your spending for funds, shred it, you know, when you're not using it. John?
Tell me a little bit about the card readers that we have, the skimming machines.
I'm sorry?
Skimming machines, skimming device.
That's, I mean, there's when you go to your ATM, you put your credit card in, you take it out, and you plug your PIN number in, and obviously you get access to your money, all right? There are guys out there that are very professional at this. They will attach to the slot where you put your credit card in and out. It looks exactly the same, and they end up mounting it right onto the ATM unit, okay? And what it'll do is when you put your card in and pull it back out, obviously your card's being skimmed by the real bank, and as it's coming back out, it's getting skimmed by what is called a skimming device, okay? So what ends up happening is, what's the next thing you got to do is put your PIN code in. Well, these guys are not stupid, and what they do is they will take, you know how small cameras can be, like the size of a pinhead now, is they'll have a camera that's about the size of a pinhead hidden somewhere. Maybe it's like a display rack with a couple brochures in it or something, and it's viewing right down on top of the keypad. So now you've stuck your machine and pulled it out. They have your swipe number, and here's your PIN code, and you press your PIN code in and take the money out. Now they have both the credit card information and your PIN code, okay? And we always tell people, we're trying to, two things. One, if you walk up to use an ATM, I always take, you know, like the part that sticks out that you put your credit card in, just grab it and pull it for a second. Just give it a little tug. If it comes out in your hand, there's a problem. That's not a real machine, obviously. If it doesn't, all right, you feel comfortable, I always tell people this is the best solution, is right before you put your PIN in, put your hand over the top of it and then put your PIN number in. If somebody is watching, if somebody's sitting over your shoulder looking or anything else, or if there's a camera somewhere in there, they can end up turning, by covering up your hand and just putting your PIN number in, nobody can get your PIN number, your personal code. So at every ATM I ever use, I do the same thing. I just put my hand over it and plug my PIN code in, and that's it. So.
Gives the trash that goes down into the hole and the dump safe?
That could go. Well, the problem is it can go anywhere. It depends. If you take your own trash and throw it out, I don't know whether they then take it to the burn center in Bridgeport, where it's, yeah, I believe it gets compact.
Sorry?
In Westport, supposedly it's all taken to the burning facility.
Yes, but is it,
At the burning facility,
has anybody tracked to see what happens at the burning facility? Is it open there? Is there somebody to get into?
I mean, is it possible? Yes. Are there employees that could be involved in something? Definitely.
Yes.
You know, again, the best way to do this is obviously minimize your risk that you're putting yourself out there. So, The only thing I'm going to do, I'm going to talk, yeah.
I've heard that these cards that have the new cards that have the chip in it.
Yes.
Then scammers can just take it right out of the
I'm going to tell you something right now. Whatever we come out with as a society to try and make our lives easier, a scammer will find another way to get your stuff. And that's what I'm saying is a lot of times just personal protection. A lot of times there's nothing you can do. This is just part of life. But like I said, is minimizing your risk by taking some certain personal steps is usually the key to not being a victim at any point, you know. And I think a lot of what I presented to you today is just telling you how not to end up being a victim. So the other thing I was going to point out to you, and I know you guys got to the other rash of problems we've been having in Westport recently, I don't know if you've looked in the news or anything else, the rash of stolen vehicles that are being stolen out of Westport. People begin to make it a point when you go home, lock your car when it's in the driveway, okay? And take the keys in the house with you, okay? We've gotten so many of these cases recently, especially with these keyless entries, where you just get in the car and press the button and start because it detects the keys in the car. A lot of people leave their keys in their car so they don't have to end up worrying about it, and they'll go in the house and they think they locked the door. Well, we're having it right now. We're currently having a lot of people coming down from New Haven, Bridgeport. They'll come down and they'll go just door to door, 3 or 4 in the morning, checking your cars in your driveway. And if they find an open car, they're going to go inside it. They'll run around and see if they can find any valuables or anything they can sell. And then they'll press that start button on your car. And we've already had 4 so far in the last week where they got in and just press that start button. The Mercedes-Benz starts up and out the driveway they go and gone. So, you know, my point is just, you guys, please just make it a point. Westport is a very safe community, but unfortunately there are people here that people are going to try and exploit that. And just make sure you lock your cars at night, because that's the key thing we're having right now. So.
You had mentioned on the screen that scammers have you send the money through MoneyGram or Western Union. I know somebody who was asked to take the money to UPS.
Yeah, I mean, again, like I said, there's all different ways, but is that, let me ask you a question right off the bat, is that a normal way to pay your, is it, that case that I was talking about in Trumbull, there was a woman that has so far lost about $100,000 to the IRS scam. You know, they keep hitting her, you got more fees and more fees. And she's paid out almost $100,000 before she told a family member what was going on. They were able to stop it, okay? It came to a point where they were telling her to take cash, wrap it up in a newspaper, put it in an envelope, and mail it to them. Again, is this how the IRS operates? I don't think so.
Well, I think that's one of the questions, is there's been the sense of skepticism gets lost, right?
Right.
The sense of
Right.
in fact, my stepmom was scanned cash and literally put cash in an envelope. And so she didn't want to lose her independence, but I'm trying to convince her to have her daughter and my brother as co-signers.
Right.
And if she takes anything more than $1,000 of cash out, there has to be a co-signer.
My parents are in their 80s, and I've hammered this into them so much that I think they're tired of hearing their own son talk about it. But again, it's just making sure, especially with seniors, it's just really good to have an open dialogue, either as a child to the parent or the parent to the child, to have an open dialogue about what's going on in their life every day. You know, because that's when you, as the son, might pick something up. Oh yeah, I had to pay the IRS the other day. Wait a minute, didn't they talk about something with the IRS the other day in that presentation? So that's why I'm saying is, with an open dialogue with your family and friends about this, a lot of times you'll be able to give somebody some advice, you know. Oh, you can't, you know, they might come to you and say, oh, you're never going to believe this. The electric company said I owe $1,200 to them. But wait a minute.
I think most of us in this room have probably been hit with one of these things or the other. I know
Everyone has.
I've had fraudulent transactions with credit cards that I've never even used. But one frustrating thing is that most of these people don't ever seem to get caught. Is there something more we can do, or you all can do, to catch more of these people? Well,
it's funny you say that. The problem with identity theft and a lot of these scams, they're all originated out of the country, okay? They're either in Europe, Russia, Africa. I mean, they're all outside of the U.S. The only closest one I've had is like Puerto Rico a couple times. But yes, we do try and track this stuff down, and we'll look into it. And obviously, if it leads us to another direction, let's say it leads us to a suspect who's using the name and date of birth and social security number for you in Texas, we'll transfer the information down to Texas. And we have had arrests that have happened in other states based upon the information that we started off with from our victim in town. Oh, he was just asking about are there arrests? And what, so basically, what ends up happening is we'll take a complaint from you. Let's say your identity was stolen. I'll take a, and obviously we'll document the information. Let's say your credit cards are now being used in Texas. We'll transfer that information from our report down to Texas, and they'll follow up from there. And we have had success in arresting the people that are inside the United States that are committing these crimes. But the main problem is a lot of these scams are all occurring overseas. India, Africa, Europe, Eastern Europe. I mean, it's all over. The problem is once you send that money out, like I said, Western Union MoneyGram, once you send that money out, they can pick it up anywhere they want to. They can tell you you're sending a Western Union MoneyGram to Washington, D.C., but they'll pick it up in Lagos, you know, or some other foreign country that obviously is so far away from the IRS that it is. But that's what they want to end up doing, is obviously getting you to believe at least the situation. So
just let them know the difficulties that we have. One of the things, you know, one of the difficulties we have as far as law enforcement, these scammers can get all your information. They can do it however they do it. The problem we have, though, let's say you call us and you want to report, hey, my credit card was used or my checking account was compromised, so forth. Where was it done? Well, the bank says it was done somewhere down in Texas, but they won't give me the information. Okay. I call the bank, and the bank tells me, they'll tell you, though, oh, we'll give that information to law enforcement. Okay. I contact the bank, well, where did this occur? Well, I can't give you that information, it's confidential. Well, wait a second. I have the victim here, and they've signed all the fraud affidavits, which your bank will request you to do, your credit card company. They've relinquished that. They're willing, they want you to give us the information. Well, we can't give you that information without a search warrant. Okay, well, I need certain information to present to a judge to find out what I'm searching for. Well, we can't give you that information. How do I get that information if you're not giving it to me? So some financial institutions and investigators are real good. Others are. Recently, we've been having a thing now, so if you're upgrading your phones with AT&T or some of these stores, they may tell you already, and you might see it in papers, oh, you've already had an upgrade on your phone. Okay, well, I didn't authorize that, when we upgraded our phone. Well, we can't give you that information. We'll take it off, you won't get charged for it, we'll eliminate that account, but it was there, because that's how you're being paid for. So we'll contact AT&T, we won't give you that information. They will not, some places will not cooperate with law enforcement whatsoever. You can jump through hoops, and then you run into second jurisdictional issues. We have issues right now. If somebody steals your wallet, purse in Westport and uses your credit cards in Norwalk, I have to turn it over to Norwalk Police because you're saying it's not in our jurisdiction. Even though it's state of Connecticut, we all go to the same court. It's, you know, dealing with identity theft can be a nightmare. So it's not, you just report to us and we can find it out. Then you run into other things as far as Patel was saying about a lot of the stuff going overseas. The threshold probably right now for the FBI to get involved with the Secret Service is probably $500,000. Now you could have 10 victims and it may hit 100,000. Well, it's not that $500,000. And even then, depending on the time right now, when you get with the Secret Service right now, there are all the presidential details or for the candidates. So trying to get an agent to really dedicate time is difficult. So that's what we run up against with a lot of this stuff. And again, it's, you know, once your information is compromised, you're the victim in Westport. These guys are never in Westport. We would love, you know, I'd love to go to Texas or go after some of these guys. But for me to spend, and, you know, it can take hours, months, years for what's the loss? Well, it's $300 if you picked up real quick on your account. So you want me to spend all this time and resources for $300 that ultimately you're not going to be responsible for because you're going to be reimbursed by the credit card company and all that stuff. And your identity, unfortunately, has been compromised. And people ask us, where did they get it from? Think about how many databases are out there that they're already on, from doctor's offices to Department of Motor Vehicles to whatever it may be.
That's one of the things I notice all the time, is the doctors want social security number. There's
Yep.
no need for it whatsoever.
I point out,
Same fight that you have.
I point out the same question. I ask my doctors and the secretaries their same question is, how are you going to protect this? If I give this to you, what are you going to do with it? Are you going to just leave it on a table, or is it going to get shredded, or, you know?
You're on Medicaid.
That's just doctor's
Then I get a
office.
doctor's office.
The insurance companies have that.
And if
You
you're-
know, there are so many databases out there. We talk about where these guys get the information. Think about it. If there- You know, whoever is computer literate, even if they're not, think about where your name is out there. And that's not even the sites you pay for, or some of the underground sites that these guys have. I used to go on sites years ago, and if you Google it, I want to buy credit card numbers, I want to buy personal information. It's there. Some of it's good, some of it's not. And here's this thing I learned when I first started doing some of these financial crimes. If I'm working in whatever office it may be, from the DMV to a doctor's office, and what usually happens, mothers, divorced, trying to raise 2 kids, you know, struggling along. I come up to you when I'm off the street and I say to you, listen, for every piece of personal identifying information you give me, I'll give you $100. Wow, so if I give somebody 5 patients, clients, whatever, 5 a week, now you got to be working in a big practice, whether it's law, medical, whatever it may be, you know, it's 500 extra a week cash. That guy's going to take that for that $100 and turn it into whatever dollar amount. You know, so there's so much information out there, it's so hard for everybody to keep track of where it is. You know, that's why Detective Taylor said about doing the credit checks. If it doesn't seem like, try to limit how we're putting our funds out there, you know, or our name out there, our information. One real quick thing, and I just mentioned it to George the other day, and I dealt with this a couple of years ago. If anybody here takes vacations or stays in a hotel, whether business, personal, wherever it may be, it had been going and just resurfaced again. The reason I'm bringing it up is it just resurfaced. It's not a real common scam, but if you stay in a hotel or any place like that, and the front desk calls you up and says, you know, room 210, you know what, we had a problem with your credit card information and your card number didn't go through. Can you please give me your info again? You're going to be like, yeah, you know, they may do it early in the morning, they may do it late at night, whatever it may be. But they're going to ask you for your card information again. Just, you know, please verify the word. Here's what it is, read it back to me. Then what they're doing is, that's some scammer that's calling up, representing himself as being the front desk at Western, you know, Best Western, or, you know, the Hilton Hotel. They're sitting out in the parking lot watching people go into their rooms and then calling those rooms. So they'll, you know, figure out however many people are in a hotel. They're targeted, and especially happens when a lot of businessmen go, not realizing, oh yeah, there's my card information, yeah, all that information. And now they have your info, and you don't know. You know, you're at a hotel. You know, you're not thinking that's happening.
One question. One that happened to me about a year ago. We got a fraudulent transaction on a credit card statement. We look at it and said, we never were there. I never bought that. Whatever. And I called the business where the charge was made, and they actually told me a lot more than I thought they would. They actually told me, you know, the address, or not the address, but the town that the merchandise was sent to and everything like that. The town was Hamden, Connecticut. And it was an online purchase using my credit card. And I'd never done any business there. The only time within months I had ever used a credit card in Hamden where somebody could have gotten information was to pay a restaurant check. And that's the one I worry about the most. I hand a waiter my credit card, they take it back out of my site, and for all I know, they can write down my name, the credit card number, the code on the back of the card, everything else. Is there any way when you're in a restaurant, you can keep that card from disappearing off into the bathroom where somebody can write it off?
Not really, but again, that defaults back to what I was saying before, is if you have concerns, have a credit card with a low limit. And at least that way, if it is compromised or whatever the case may be, they don't have a lot of running room to deal with it. But to answer your question, basically, no, there's no way for you to stop that because the credit card machine may be in the back room or whatever, and, unless you want to walk with them through there, so.
Inform us to use a credit card, not a debit card in restaurants, because there's better legal protection around compromised credit.
Well, I don't use debit cards for anything.
Yeah, but even in general for everyone, do not use debit cards in restaurants.
Well, I'm just going to say thank you for everybody coming out here today, but John and I will be up at the front here, and if you have any questions or want to talk about something or one of your case situations or whatever, please come on up.
And this too, it's just that we're here, but if you ever have a question or anything like that, please call us at the police department. Our front desk sometimes gets busy because they're handling the 911 calls, but just call up on the general number and say, I'd like to speak to one of the detectives, I have a question. And our desk will be more than willing to put you through. And then any questions, dealing with any of this stuff, please. We would rather, and we tell everybody this, call us before you do something, because I'd rather tell you, no, don't do it, than try and work with you now when you've lost a couple $1,000s or something. As George said earlier, once it's out there, it's gone. And it's slim to none. If we're lucky, yeah, needle in a haystack to make an arrest. But it's slim to none. Just don't have the resources or the jurisdiction and powers that we need, so.
Well, thank you again, everyone. Thank you.
Thank you.